It's the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
What's the dumbest thing you ever did, and did you ever do it twice in the same day? Just curious, because a 43-year-old gentleman was just popped. Okay, it wasn't the same day, but it was within the same week. He flew into Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Okay, that's the Seattle International Airport. He flew in from the Netherlands. Security found in his bags 12 pounds of ketamine in both liquid and powdered form, 2 pounds of codeine, and 3 ounces of GHB. That's just a whole lot of mind-bending drugs.
Yeah, wow. That's Hunter S. Thompson headed across the desert to Vegas.
Yeah. He was arrested, as you might imagine, posted bail, and then went right back to the same airport because he had a ticket to London. And security stopped him before the plane took off because his checked bag had more than 1/2 pound of ketamine.
Well, yeah, they took all of his other drugs. What's
so
he supposed
this
to do?
is a new stash of drugs. Something tells me this is not his first time muling drugs around the world.
Oh, but he's on a little bad bit of bad luck run, as they say.
Yeah, so arrested twice at the same airport, both times for smuggling drugs in the same week.
I wouldn't have tried it at the same airport, man. I got to be honest. I think I would just given it just a little bit of a break, you know. Just, all right, let me get safely back to wherever his origin is. I don't know where that might be. Sounds like he's kind of jet-setting some drugs around the planet. But
I mean, he made it out of the Netherlands to Seattle, so I guess maybe the Dutch authorities found the stuff, but they said, we'll just let him go and then we'll alert Seattle when he lands. Maybe.
How do you get away with that? I feel like if you get busted with that many drugs at the airport, you're not going to your hotel and getting more drugs and jumping back at the airport a week later. I feel like you're going to be in jail for a while.
He posted bail. They put him on. They gave him a number, and he was able to hit it. Whoever's paying him to move these drugs around, this could be the old. We're gonna tip the authorities off to this guy because the real shipment's much bigger and it's somewhere else.
Yeah,
this guy needs to check out. He needs to look in the mirror and ask himself the tough questions. Who are my real friends?
Now, I may be an idiot, but there is one thing I am not, sir, and that, sir, is an idiot.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's facing charges. The new charges are possession with the intent to distribute ketamine. Yeah, to your point, just rent a car, go to Portland, Oregon, try it there.
Yeah, he's got to come back to Seattle now because he has a court date. What do you think? He's bringing some drugs back with him next time he comes in?
They'll never suspect it.
Exactly.
Nobody would go down that road 3 times in a row.
Oh,
man.
Well, good luck to you. Sounds like he probably used some drugs right about now.
I just never had a real knack for much, but I realized smuggling drugs I'm good at, right? But I'm not really good at it. I'd like to be better. I'm still going to work at it,
I feel like I look guilty at the airport when I don't have drugs.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't imagine trying to get like pounds of drugs.
I had one airport experience at an international airport. This would be in Italy, in Milan, and I flew in. And I have a doctor's bag. It's like my travel bag. It's my purse essentially, but it's like an old-fashioned doctor's bag. It holds, and it's great. It has my books and glasses and stuff and whatever I got to travel.
Syringes.
Syringes. But at one point back in the day, as a much younger traveler, I did have there was Visine. Like a Visine, a little bottle of Visine. But it was not eye drops. It was liquid LSD. I had never taken any of it. It was given to me by a guy who worked for the Grateful Dead. So, that meant it was probably great acid. Right. But he said, you just want a drop of this. And I had that in my bag for months, and I'd never used it. And I was like, and I was kind of afraid of it. I was like, that guy, that's probably really strong stuff. And more than anything, I left it in my doctor's bag just because it was kind of funny to have it and know what it was. It is. And there were a couple times when I would look in there and go, oh, Visine. Oh, that's not Visine. And it was always like, wait, don't put that in my eye, no matter what. And so one of the guys in the band and I were doing just a press tour, just bouncing around Europe, just doing interviews, no gigs, just 2 of us. different airport every day, and we got to Italy, and I was just standing there waiting for my suitcase, but I looked, and over where people were going through customs with their luggage, they're pulling everybody. They had clearly gotten tipped off something's on this flight because every single piece of luggage they were opening, and I didn't have anything else. I'm like, well, this is fine, and I'm like, well, I mean, this thing's been in here 6 months. Nobody's even looked at it. It says it's Visine. And I have no plans to even use it, but I'm like, I don't want to throw it away though. Yeah. But then I'm looking, and I was just starting to kind of panic, and I'm like, hang on, I don't need to go to jail anywhere, and definitely not in Italy for something I'm not even using. Right. And so I just walked over to the trash can, and I opened my bag, and I pulled it out. And then I'm like, what if they see me throwing this out? I mean, I'm literally starting to get paranoid. And so I'm like in my late 20s. I'm not like a teenager. And I literally go, oh, this says it's expired. Like, I just felt like I needed to say that.
That's
like,
hilarious.
They probably got microphones. I go, oh, man, this is expired. I'll just get some new eye drops at the pharmacy, and I just drop it in there. And, of course, I walk through, and they open my suitcase. They would have never.
No.
I'm like, but I just remember that feeling of. So I can't imagine what it feels like when you literally have pounds of drugs and you're like, please don't open my suitcase. And then the guy just looks at you and goes, come here. You just got to fall apart. I don't know how anybody can handle it.
I wonder if later that day they were sitting around customs going, we got the tip. The guy had the Visine full of acid. We never. We went through everyone's bag.
Yeah.
And ended up confiscating 15 bottles of Visine, but we never got that acid. He slipped through.
Man, you just know there's some garbage man in Milan too who later that day was like,
tripping.
he's like, oh, these allergies, my eyes are going crazy. Oh my God, is that Visine in that trash? But it's not even been opened. Oh, that's perfect.
Funny.
No, he didn't use it because it was expired.
Oh, that's right. It was expired. Oh no, we went over the tapes. That is expired. That's right. No, we listened. We had the baggage area bugged.
Weren't you just tempted though to get a Sharpie and write on the bottle, "Do not put an I"?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have trusted myself.
Yeah. That could have gone horribly wrong.
It's the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS. Stream it on your phone. It's the best of the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
So Nashville hot chicken, that's a thing, right? I mean, there's several different. There's places here in Minneapolis. We serve Nashville-style hot chicken.
The hot new franchise.
There is a video, in case you're curious, that's great, that was made by a Southern restaurateurs thing years ago. The origin of Nashville hot chicken, because it was at one place called Prince's Hot Chicken. And the original location burned a few years ago. It had been there since sometime in the 60s, I guess, or 70s. And I've gone there several times. It's a phenomenal place. The story was literally this. A man came home after catting around, as his wife said. A dude's out of the town, leaves the wife at home. He comes in late at 4 a.m. and he says, woman, I'm hungry. He's drunk and he needs to eat. And she thought, well, I'm going to make him some fried chicken and I'm just going to put every spice I have into it to torture him. Mm-hmm. And she made the hottest chicken she could possibly make. And he was like, damn, this is awesome. He ate it all. And then,
that's why I come home to you, baby.
And then he said, like, make that again. And it's just cayenne pepper and all this stuff. And that's the origin story. It started as torture. And he was like, oh, this is it.
That's much better than the Colonel's origin story. That's a good one.
It certainly is. But that original place, Prince's, the first time I went with a friend who's from Nashville, and he said, I said, hey, do you know where is Prince's? He goes, oh, it's up Dickerson Pike. It's in a weird spot. Let's go get lunch one day. And I said, oh, is it a lunch place? He goes, oh yeah, you don't want to eat after like 2 p.m. You got to get there for lunch. I said, what do you mean? He goes, just trust me. If you have dinner there, you won't sleep. I mean, it's an early day thing. And he goes, and that's only medium. We're not going to get the hot. And I'm like, come on, I like hot. This is 20 years ago. I'm like, I like hot food. And we go into this place, and it's a hole in the wall, and it's dingy. And
awesome.
And I got the hot. It's a half chicken, and it's served on just a couple pieces of white bread and a couple of pickles.
I
went hot.
Yeah.
And when I ordered hot, the guy said, have you been here before? I said, no. And he goes, I'm going to make you medium. I said, no, I just give me the hot. And I said, I know I'll regret it. And he said, okay. And without me asking, he wrote it down. I paid him. And then he just put up a thing of individual size purity whole milk. And he goes, just take it. I'm like,
trust me.
Okay. So I sat down with my milk but also with an iced tea. And this chicken came out, and it was two things. It was the best piece of chicken I'd ever eaten, and far and away the hottest food I'd ever eaten.
Kidding.
But it was so hot. I had tears, I had snot, and I'm not making this up. I had like earwax bubbling in my ears.
Oh man!
You finished the whole thing now?
It felt like my ears were leaking. It was, and I ate the whole thing.
How was bedtime?
It was. This is at 1 p.m, and I went home, and just throughout the rest of the day, it was just like some plain yogurt and just various things, and I got through it okay. But it was. I was literally crying, and I'm still like, this is killing me, but I couldn't stop eating it. It was so good.
Did you ever have it again?
Yeah.
No, I had medium many times.
Yes.
And by the way, the medium is still incredibly hot.
Couldn't even do the
but
medium.
the hot, I only had it once, and it was just astounding. I mean, like the amount of sweat and just. I smelled like that for 3 days. I'm serious. It was unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
Did you look around and see other people experiencing the same thing too?
No, I was the only guy in there that day that had never been there. You could tell it was all just locals. They all knew what they were doing. But it was just great because and it's just a little window. It's an indoor place, but they're behind a window at the counter. And the guy, and I said, "Yeah, I'll just get the whole hot." And he went, "Have you been here?" "No." "I'll give you the medium." I mean, it was just like, dude, we do this all the time. Stop. You don't want the hot.
Yeah.
But I did. But yeah, I never went back. But then, and that was right, this is 20 years ago. And right then, there were a few other spots that had opened up, and it was turning into a thing. You've got the Nashville Hot Chicken Festival down there now, where there's a million imitators. But the original place, which is still there, they just opened one at the Nashville airport, a Prince's Hot Chicken in the airport. And I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Anyway, yeah, if you just want, if you find yourself in Nashville, you're going to see a lot of options. Just remember Prince's, and they're not one of our sponsors. I'm not doing this for any reason other than it's true. Find Prince's Hot Chicken and just go flame yourself right out of contention.
So
What's that
want
famous-
it right or now?
Yeah, we went down there. Obviously, one of our KQ trips. We're down there, and it's one of these windows on Broadway, I think. And we're walking past it, and there's a long line in the middle of the day. It's the Nashville Hot Chicken. And I don't think that was the brand, the franchise that we see.
That
here.
would have been Hattie B's.
Okay, Hattie B's. That sounds right.
Yep.
And we got to try it. Well, my spicy years have long since passed me. If I ever had any spicy years, but I said, okay, I'll jump in line and I will get the mildest that they have.
Yeah.
And then that will bother me for the rest of this trip,
Sure.
which it did. Yeah. I had the mildest. I can't imagine what medium was like. I was like, if you can, do you have any that you haven't sauced yet? If you just let it sit in the air and let the other spices just touch it through the air. But she kind of chuckled, and I got my Nashville Hot Chicken, and I did not finish it. That was...
It's a thing. It's a thing for sure.
You're listening to the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
The final tour of the United States for Led Zeppelin was in 1977. That's the last time Led Zeppelin toured in America.
Yep.
They had a few reporters that they allowed around the band on that final tour. Led Zeppelin famously frosty with the music press.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get a lot of love.
There were rules. If you applied for a press pass to be around Led Zeppelin in 1977, they had a list. They said there's 5 rules that you have to agree to. Number 1, never talk to anyone in the band unless they talk to you first.
Okay.
1A, do not ever make any sort of eye contact with John Bonham. This is for your safety. If your drummer is a threat to those closest to him on tour, maybe he doesn't need to be on tour.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Keep him out of the press room, probably. Maybe he doesn't need to be interviewed.
Don't make eye contact with John Bonham, or as they called him then, Coco. It sounds like something you'd say for a silverback gorilla, not John Bonham.
Right.
Number 3, do not talk to Peter Grant, the band's manager, or tour manager Richard Cole for any reason.
Yeah,
I love that. Like, just no.
Why would you want to? It wasn't like Peter Grant was approachable.
Well, exactly.
I mean,
number 3, keep your cassette player turned off at all times unless conducting an interview. Number 4, never ask questions about anything other than the music.
I think I'm just going to go interview Nitty Gritty Dirt Band instead.
By the way, talking about music, as they say, it's like riding a bicycle about fish. It's like whatever. Like, talk about me. The music speaks for itself.
Yeah, right.
Finally, and this is great. Number 5, it says, most importantly, understand this. The band will read what is written about them. The band does not like the press, nor do they trust them. Have a good interview.
Yeah, now go get him, kid.
That's just hilarious to me.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
The pride of Stillwater, Minnesota, and he finds himself in the studio with us right now. Chris, good morning, sir.
Once again, thank you.
Well, man, you're more than welcome. We're going to be in Stillwater tomorrow night, rocking an 80s cruise.
Dude.
A little before your time.
Yeah.
I mean, you were around in the 80s, but were you rocking in the 80s?
No, I wasn't rocking in the 80s yet. I was into whatever my folks were into, Roy Orbison, you know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. My parents took me to see him when I was 8, you know. And
was that your first concert?
So in my memory, yeah. It's technically
good one.
I kind of consider like that, or the first one I went to by myself was Lollapalooza '92.
Okay, well, now that's your first concert.
Yeah.
The one you go to with your friends. That's the one.
Yeah. Lost my shoes immediately. You know,
man, losing the shoes is a strong.
I remember it was a beautiful day at Harriet Island, and that wasn't that the Pearl Jam, Chili Peppers Ministry was there.
Yeah, we had a 2-a-day football practices, and they said we could skip the second one, and it was like heaven. I just ran there. I missed I forget who the first band was, but I missed him anyway. And then Pearl Jam. I had no idea that the crowd was just gonna surge, and shoes were gone. Scared, and went home with just mud-caked feet.
I mean, if memory serves, Pearl Jam was like just another band from Seattle, and then that tour happened in '92, and then it was like Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Like that's when it blew up.
It was awesome, and Ice Cube and
Jesus and Mary Chain was there.
I think they were the first band that I missed.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Ministry.
Yes.
Ministry was amazing, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. Who else? Soundgarden. God,
yes.
What a lineup.
Jeez. Man, that is pretty strong.
Yeah.
But then, and so you start with Roy Orbison, then you get some Lollapalooza going. Yeah. Everything comes back full circle. You're a big country music fan.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a son named Waylon. That's all I needed to hear.
Right. It was. I didn't. He's more like a Waylon Smithers, you know, like a little more chill. But
the namesake. I mean, there's one Waylon. Come on.
It's just a cool name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah.
And of course, you got the possibility of a WAILIN apostrophe spelling. You know, you can do a lot of things with Waylon.
Yes, it sounds like he's Waylon. Exactly.
But your album, Country Music Legend, that came out a few years ago, is this? Do you play country music? Have you ever been a country music musician?
I play country music in my room quite a bit. Yeah, actually, it was. I play, and it was kind of so. The way it started was you go out of town and you'll get some. In the U.S., there's like they have the youngest comedian being the MC, and so they go, "How can I introduce you?" And then you give them all your credits, and they forget everything every time.
Right.
And so I just started saying, "Just say country music legend," and they can't. They don't even usually remember those 3 words.
Of course.
And so once I started doing that, I was like, "Well, I should probably play a song or something."
Oh,
so
that's pretty good.
I said a couple songs and whatever, and then what kicked it was I was playing. I had like 2 songs that would work as like a comedy thing, and I have a friend who his wife makes clothes for horse shows, and she saw me playing in shorts, and she was like, "What are you doing? You look like an idiot."
Clothes for horse shows.
Yeah, like rodeos and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've never been to one. They must probably get my
yeah.
I can probably get beat up for saying horse shows, but so she made me a suit with my name on it.
Strong.
So now I'm a country music legend.
Yeah, you are.
That's how that happens.
Oh man, if you fit the suit, you're halfway home.
It's like Yellowstone with the brand. It's like the suit is something you live up to.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Is it anything like a nudie suit? Is it?
Yes.
It's a flamboyant sort of. Yeah.
It's a nudie
it's
suit.
An eye catcher.
Sequins and got my name on it.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I guess it would have been too much to ask you to put it on this early in the morning.
Man, I'm just pretty sure most people are sick of that suit by now, but I have just worn it out before and with a straight face.
Well, it's an interesting choice. You are decked head to toe in Vikings gear, so it looks like you're ready to go out to camp. So, are you growing up in Stillwater? Are you a Vikings fan?
Yeah, more in like a mythical sense, though.
For your own protection.
I don't have the brain to for stats or anything.
Oh,
but
sure,
I knew Joey Browner would show up and save me if I ever got in trouble.
But that's who you're cheering for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair
Come
enough.
on. Who else am I going to cheer for? The Packers.
No, come on, please.
We only have
God.
one life to live.
That's exactly right. You don't want to. You got to keep it on this side of the river, brother.
We're on a rock going around the sun. We don't have time to be Packer fans.
Chris Maddock is at Laugh Camp tomorrow and Saturday night at 8 p.m. both nights. Camp-bar.net. Just Google Laugh Camp. You'll find it, and you can pick up tickets if you want to go see Chris Maddock. So growing up in Stillwater, okay, you got Roy Orbison's the first concert. Then you saw Lollapalooza. Did you play sports? Was that a part of your life too as a kid?
Yeah, I did. And then I did like the real stereotypical thing where you experiment with, my kid's in the studio. So anyway, quit my senior year to play in a band.
Attaboy.
And we won the Battle of the Bands. And
of
the
course
coach was not impressed with that.
Not at all.
No. But I was like, I achieved, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, you did. What was that band? What was that vibe?
We were. This is kind of embarrassing. I didn't realize it at the time. We covered Tool, and we called ourselves Fuel. It dawned on me in my 20s. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. Whoops. Yeah. But
that
anyway,
happens.
We're winners. But
Winning.
You won.
we tuned down and we sounded awesome.
Yeah, right. Again, half the battle.
Yeah.
You tune down and then someone's, you have to, you can always say that's what it's supposed to sound like, whether it is or not. For early days playing music in bands, there's just a handful of things. The first one is, of course, just if it's going really poorly, just turn up.
Yeah.
Just.
And if you screw up, do it twice.
I've been doing that one from day one. Trust me. It's like, you think that fill was out of time? Wait till I do it again.
Yeah. Oh, he meant to do that.
Damn straight meant to do that. So you're at Laugh Camp. You've been doing this for a long time. How long? By the way, and I always mention this because it's always appropriate and it's always applicable, I guess is the word really more. There's such a Venn diagram in the brains of funny people and musicians, comedians and musicians. There's a lot of crossover. Yeah. I know a lot of comedians who started on a guitar, and I know a lot of musicians who think they're really funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just think there's part of that creative brain. There's just something about those two realms where there's a lot of crossover. So when you were playing in a high school band, were you already thinking about comedy, or were you even thinking about either of those things being something you might do for real one day?
No, I never thought about doing comedy, but I did when I was in bands. I started. I didn't realize I was kind of doing bits. I would bring up. I had a flyer for. Like a self-defense class. And then I had one for like the other side, like for the attacker. I was like, if these people are taking self-defense,
that's great.
I'm going to teach you how to, then offense. And
I like it.
So I realized in retrospect that's what I was doing. But yeah. And then what did I don't know. It's like there's some need for approval or something, but it's also like you don't have to split the money when you're a comic.
Man, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
The simplest way to to keep a band together, and this is the guys in REM will tell you, and you too for that matter. Two bands who from day one said, okay, all money goes four ways. Like no matter what the source of income is, we split it equally. Man. Even if you write the song, we're all going to share it, and they all agreed. And literally, those guys are like, that's the only thing you got to do, and then you can go forever. But every other band on the planet, it's like at some point, even like Ringo and George Harrison, billionaires, but at some point they were like, man, you guys have a lot more money than we do. It just gets a little weird.
Crippling egos.
Yeah, that's what it is. It can really, it's
VH1.
But it's like a basketball team. It's like, some people are there to rebound, and that's fine as long as the guy shooting all the goal, it's the guy that scores the points.
Yeah.
You can score all the points, but you have to respect the rebounder.
Is it always the drummer and the bass player that have that four-way idea?
No. It's funny. I wish I'd had that idea.
I was just thinking.
It didn't occur to me because when our band got together, I was like, I don't want to write songs. No, man, I didn't even know how to play drums yet. I was like, I was faking it. Trust me. I was like, well, if I have to bring ideas for songs, then they'll figure out real quick. Like I can't even drum either. Like at least I'm good with moving gear while I figure out what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, hustle. That works.
No, it honestly never occurred to me that we would actually go I was just avoiding college. That was really what it came down to.
That's what we're all doing, avoiding day work.
That's it.
And but band's more fun, definitely.
In the early days.
It's I think maybe the comic is like the most depressed member of the band, and he just is like, I'm gonna go up here, you guys go ahead and go home to your family.
I'm gonna go it alone. I'm the lone wolf of this outfit.
I need more applause.
So how has fatherhood impacted your comedic sensibility, your view of the world in a way that comes out on stage?
Well, I don't think I could have progressed as a human without a little responsibility. So, there's something.
Yeah. I hear you.
So it's like I think I used to work blue a little more, and now that sort of just naturally fell away.
Right.
And I don't know. It's I think I still would have been like an 18-year-old.
No, I know very well.
Who knows? Maybe not. But.
A lot of musicians sitting around talking. I've had that conversation a million times, and I'm sure you have with comics. There's a lot to be said for the joys of life before you have kids. But there's nothing quite like sitting around after you've been a dad for a while, and you're sitting around with a colleague, and they don't have kids, and they're telling you how busy they are, and you're like, dude, do you know how much I get done in a day before you even wake up? Like, don't tell me you don't have time to get things done. I'm the same way. The minute our son was born, I was like, oh wow, I felt two things. I felt relief that I could drop all the pretense nonsense. I was like, okay, this is actually way more important. Yeah. But then also, I got incredibly productive. Yeah. Like, there's no more procrastination involved.
No, I can get up in the morning now.
Yeah.
I know you can, but...
Put a list together and knock it out.
I used to sleep till noon. And then,
the salad days.
Yeah, there was. It was about 13 months into fatherhood where you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Nah.
You just have to wake up.
You got to get up. You got to get proactive.
Yeah.
When you start realizing like the key is to wake up way before the baby, then the game's over.
Here's what
you're a pro. You're an adult.
I don't get excited about the same stuff anymore, but I get really excited when it's bedtime. Like, that's it. I did it. I get to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go lay down and I go to sleep instantly.
Oh heck yeah! Those are. It's like
I used to try to go to sleep.
It's like rites of passage. Yeah. When you can just lay down and go. You've done your job. Chris Maddock is at Laugh Camp tomorrow night and Saturday night, 8 p.m. Both nights. You traveling much these days? You keeping it regional? What's the schedule looking like?
Yeah, I was out in Denver, and that place is great. And I'll be in Minneapolis, so that's not traveling. That's not even what you asked.
That's living. Well, no, I'm just thinking because we had a few years there where nobody went anywhere.
Yeah, I'm still building back up from that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
It's like a muscle, and I definitely stopped doing it altogether and was just doing stuff at home, podcasting and stuff.
Right.
And that was like when I came back to try to do it in like 2021, it was like, oh, this is hard again. Yeah. And then I had to go to therapy and ask the guy what I should do.
Yeah.
I said, what do I do? He's like, what? What do you... And I was like, do I like this anymore? He's like, well, let's figure that out. And it turns out I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Those are good questions to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you obviously asked him to the right guy. He was apparently fairly helpul with that.
Kurt, man.
Kurt.
Kurt's the man. He probably knows martial arts. He's the coolest.
I bet he does. Yeah, you don't want to go on the offense with Kurt.
Kurt, the therapist, he holds his, the two fingers in front of your mouth like that.
Oh, yeah? For real? Does that?
Yeah, he does that. And he knows all.
Yeah.
I lucked out.
When I probably 10 years ago now, first time I ever went to therapy, and I really enjoyed it. And even just calling and booking the first appointment made me feel great.
Yeah.
I was like, that alone, I was like, okay, I'm going to actually face some stuff. I got to work through some things. And I remember very clearly, fifth or sixth time with this guy, and it was wonderful. But I was telling a couple things came up, and I was giving him a story about something that had happened, and it's a story I'd told many times, and usually for laughs.
Yeah.
And his eyes were like almost tearing up, and the look on his face was, this is the worst thing I've ever heard.
When you tried to tell him a funny story.
Yeah, and then that's when I recognized, like, oh wait, this is horrible. Like, oh my God, why have I been laughing about this all my life? And it was there's a few of those moments along the way when you're like, oh, we're actually going to go into this now. Crap.
I did the same thing where I'm like, I'm telling him this funny story, and he's going, yeah.
Yeah, you think that's funny.
I think that's because of your relationship with your mother.
Uh-huh.
Dang it!
Yeah, right,
And
right.
I, did the same thing, and after a few visits, it comes back to Dad, and I'm like, really? I thought I'd have something unique, or uncover something, just a super, I don't know, odd or original that happened to me, but just parents, Dad, got it.
Yeah, I was, after one of those sessions, it was funny. I picked up like a 10-year-old New Yorker magazine, and I just turned to an interview with Steve Van Zandt from Bruce Springsteen's band. And there was this quote, and I just turned right to it, and he says, rock and roll music is essentially a bunch of boys screaming, Dad, pay attention to me. And I just shut the magazine. It was like, it's too much for one day. I can't take it.
It is. And my parents loved me.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean,
we can't help it. I'm just like going to go out here right now and say, son, let's go screw you up some more.
Let's go. Yeah. Son, I think this would be a great day for you to watch me get drunk. Hey, at least you planned it. At least it didn't happen by chance.
He's a teenager. He's ready.
Yeah. Why not? No need to wait. This is what's happening.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
My son is 24 now, as of yesterday. Huge sports fan, and we'll be talking about the World Series from last year. And I go, wait, who is in it? And he looks at me like, what's wrong with you? But ask me about the 1987 World Series, or ask me about the NBA Finals from any year from 1970 to 2003, or ask me about any football Super Bowl up until the last 10. I remember everything about everything from a long time ago.
Yeah.
I would be thrilled to delete all my 70s sports memories and just put the last 10 years in there. I did sports talk radio for years and wouldn't remember year to year who was in anything. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. My brain, there's not room for new, useless information.
Cleared some room off the hard drive.
The old, useless information is still there. I remember the first phone number I ever had. I've not used it since 1975. 301-987-1352. Hello, Gormans. That's what you heard if you called that number.
698-1734.
Say it again.
698-1734. Mine.
1734. I like that.
605-883-4526 is no longer the ranch's phone number, but
it was for
up
years.
to about 5 years ago. The entire time I grew up.
729-9584.
There it is.
867-538. What is it? I don't even remember that.
867-538-09. I remember I moved to Kentucky in 1975. That was 502-886-8741. I remember, I know more of them. I mean, I remember my phone numbers from the 90s, Rosemary and I. And, we had a condo and then we had a house. And then we went to here, and we had a different number when you'd move back then. You didn't keep the same number. I remember all of them. There's no reason for me to remember any of this crap. 917-936-1136. That was my cell phone number, my first New York cell phone number. Wow. Why do I still I don't need it.
Hey, you got some sort of savant brain. It's useless. I mean,
completely useless.
You can't use it to count cards in Vegas and win a bunch of dough, or to go on to Jeopardy and I don't know, maybe you would do pretty well on Jeopardy. I don't know.
I think that, and then I watched Jeopardy and realized I wouldn't. No. A Teen Jeopardy I might have a chance with.
They don't have
Celebrity Jeopardy I could have a chance with. Jeopardy Jeopardy, I'd get boat raced.
They don't have that category, your old phone numbers?
I'll take my old phone numbers for 800, please. What about, so, I would love to get rid of them. Another one that I still remember, this is a weird one, friends' birthdays. From my life. Now, I have 7 siblings, and 3 of them, I can't tell you their birthday because I have there's some Marches and Aprils, and it's a block in my brain to remember who's on which. Yeah. Literally, it is. And I try to figure it out, and every year I'm like, this is the year I'm going to finally remember Dave, Ann, and Bob's birthdays. It's never happened. All the rest of them, easy as pie. I don't know why. But I know childhood friends' birthdays. People I haven't seen in decades.
No, I couldn't.
Well, their birthday parties were so much fun. They're ingrained in your brain.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I met my friend Brooke Lawson, April 8th. That's the day Hank Aaron passed Babe Ruth. Those things are linked in my brain. Every April 8th, I'm like, oh, Hank Aaron, Brooke Lawson. I mean, they just go together, and it's like, I don't need to know that.
I literally only remember the birthdays I was there for.
Really?
My 2 children being born and mine. Mm-hmm. My mom and my brother were born on the 18th and the 19th of May each year, including this past year. I got it wrong. Mm-hmm. I was like, happy birthday, Mom. Chris's birthday. Dang. And I can't tell you how many relationships ended prematurely because I forgot the frickin' birthday.
How convenient.
Oh, no, it wasn't even convenient. I mean, it's so embarrassing, and I would remember like the day after. I'd be like, it was your birthday yesterday, wasn't it? I was wondering why you weren't talking to me.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, I just did it not long ago, about a year ago. Forgot the birthday. With her all day long. Just slipped my mind.
Oop.
Yeah, well.
A good friend of mine from college is celebrating a birthday today, Kevin Dugan. I never knew his birthday until my son was born, and then I found out his birthday was the next day. Yeah. I also have a nephew, Ryan, whose birthday is today. So on July 25th, my son's 24th, and then now I just know a guy that I rarely see, but is still one of my favorite people ever. But the whole time I knew him, I never knew his birthday. But then 24 years ago, I realized his birthday was the day after mine, and now I think of him every year. It's crazy.
Rachel's a Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. This is the most useless information ever. There's literally nothing you can do with that. And yet you're going to struggle to remember what game show we're playing today that you just talked about 5 minutes ago.
Literally, I'm dead serious. I've already forgotten. First Wi-Fi passwords or my first email password. Yeah. I didn't get an email account until the summer of 2000. I mean, I was a little late to the game. Yeah. I got my first AOL account, and I remember my first password. Yeah. Because I was thinking it should be something about Gorman, maybe, and I'm not saying this because I live in Minnesota now. It was Go Gophers Gophers. That was my password. Because it just came to me as I was like, well, it's something about Gorman and Go, and I just went Go Gophers Gophers Go Gophers. And so I wrote Go Gophers Gophers, and that was my long-ass password for my first AOL account.
A secondary fight song for the University of Minnesota. Yeah. Go Gophers. Mine was very clever. It was ZEP 1966. The year I was born.
Attaboy.
They could have never hacked that. I wanted something, and people would say, "Well, I remember at the time I was saying, well, that would be pretty easy to guess, wouldn't it?" And I said, "Well, I've got to remember it also." But yeah, now I've got a whole. Now I need a password to get into my passwords because, there's just too damn many passwords out there, and they're constantly making you change them. That would be helpful if I could remember those. But no, for some reason, I swear to God, I've never listened to the song, maybe once, but I know all the lyrics to Rockin' Robin. I don't know. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know. Rockin' in the Treetops all day. I'm not going to sing the whole song.
Boppin' and
I'm singing his song. That one and some, embarrassing love songs from the 1970s for some reason. I swear to God, I never listened to them, but I can belt out Copacabana. And I write the songs.
Well, music gets into your head. And speaking of Barry Manilow, all the jingles he wrote,
right?
Those are all. The Kawasaki Lets the Good Times Roll. That song has not been broadcast since like 1970.
Yeah.
I thought it ended in the 90s. But all the 70s jingles, You Deserve a Break Today, anything you hear a few times like that, if it's set to music.
All beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, special onions on the sesame seed bun.
Sure. Have it your way. Have it your way. I remember all the songs I learned in French in school, like the songs to teach me the days of the week, the months of the year. I know all the lyrics to the French national anthem. I mean, there's no reason for me to still have that on Allons enfants de la patrie, le jeu de gloire est arrivé, contre nous de la tyrannie. I can do the whole song horribly, but why?
Nice.
How about this? How about I just remember 3 of my siblings' birthdays instead? It just doesn't happen.
Why do certain things stick in your head? Whenever I took a test in college, a quiz, an exam, the theme song from Casper the Friendly Ghost would not get out of my head. Only when I would take a test. I'm not kidding. I don't know why.
Wow. Wait, what is the theme song to Casper the Friendly?
Always say hello, and he's really glad to meet you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
He was a friendly fellow, wasn't he?
Wow.
Grown-ups don't understand why children love him the most.
Wow.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
That's really good.
Very annoying.
Man, do you remember? That just reminds me of this. Who's the king of animals in Africa? Who lives deep in the Kimba the White Lion? That was the one. Kimba the White Lion is his name. Man,
You're off in
it's
the
all
tulips
buried
now.
in there.
Yeah.
Don't even. Of course, the standards. Gilligan, Brady Bunch. We remember all the lyrics to all of those. Yeah. I remember the lyrics. I remember when I hear the Go-Go's "Our Lips Are Sealed," I will forever say "a la Kazeel" because someone in school thought that's what she was singing.
I thought it was "Honest, I See You."
Honest, that would work. That's a line for another. That's a country song, right?
I think we used to have to memorize a lot more. So much of it's in my phone now. I have a combination lock and a storage locker, and I have to go to my phone. Right now, I couldn't tell you what the first numbers are because I always go to my phone. However, my combination to my Foot Locker in 1984 in basic training is 27817. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
But I literally was at a storage locker a week ago going, and I had to walk back to my truck, get my phone out. And went, all right, there it is.
Do you guys do this? I use football players' numbers to remember codes and numbers.
Oh, constant. That's it. Yeah, I do that and I associate it. So I remember my own age. I'm like, it's a Jack Lambert year. I'm 58. Yeah. Jack Lambert this year. Next year it's going to be Ham. I'm going to be, which one was it? I'm forgetting his first name.
Jack Ham.
Jack Ham. Yeah, the other Jack. Yeah, Jack Ham. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll be 59. See how that goes. And then I get into the offensive lineman years. I'm going from linebackers to offensive linemen. And some down linemen, you had L.C. Greenwood, and you had some 60s in there, of course.
Wow, that's the lineman years. I mean, that's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. I like that.
Maybe I'll make it to the receiver years. I doubt it.
As Brian gently approached the lineman years, a softness overcame him. He wasn't quite so bristly. Oh my God!
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
So here's a scene. Picture this. You're at the beach with friends or family or with strangers, by yourself, whatever the context. You're at the beach. You're having a nice day. Let's say it's a weekend. You're happy to be away from, the grind of the work week. And then all of a sudden, you notice a bit of a black cloud approaching. And you think to yourself, what is that? Is that smoke coming this way? No, it looks like, is that birds? Is it, no, it's a swarm. Oh, okay. And it's an entire beach being swarmed by dragonflies. That's exactly what happened. Rhode Island on Sunday. A dragonfly swarm. There is footage because half the people there immediately pulled out their iPhones as they thought they were meeting their maker. You've never seen more dragonflies in one place in your life. The good news is dragonflies don't sting.
Right.
They can't hurt you. The bad news, like cicadas, they're just creepy as hell. And it freaks people out. So yes, thousands and thousands and thousands of dragonflies all swarming one area right on a beach. Thankfully, we've got some audio.
Dude, that's insane. This is some apocalypse.
Dude, look at them all.
Oh my God. Where'd they all come from?
It's Armageddon. It's
It's an apocalypse. That's
It's the
what you yelled.
apocalypse.
Yeah,
It's the dragonfly apocalypse. People did say the sound, there were so many of them that the sound of their wings was audible quite loudly, in fact. Just a...
Yeah.
I've had a dragonfly or two land on me in my life, and I know full well they don't sting. But the first thing I do is get off of me because they just freak me out.
It's a dragonfly. Yeah, it's got those big eyes, and it's a cool bug. Maybe my favorite now that I'm looking at some dragonfly fun facts this morning. In the insect world, they have a wingspan of up to 2 to sometimes 5 inches. There's like 300 species of them out there I'm reading this morning.
Way too big.
That's pretty big. But 300 million years ago when these bad boys came onto the scene because of all the oxygen-rich environment way back in the day, they had a wingspan of 2.5 feet.
Come on.
They weighed a pound, about the weight of a crow now. Imagine an infestation of those dragonflies coming down on you. However, these bad boys will put away at least 100 mosquitoes a day.
They look artificial, don't they? They look like man-made. They look like little drones.
Yeah, they do. They're cool. And, a lot of drones and different things. What are those Dune choppers in the movie Dune? Don't know if you've seen any of the last couple of Dune movies, but they're patterned after the dragonflies.
And they eat mosquitoes.
They eat mosquitoes. And they stay in the larva stage for up to 2 years.
Well, then I'm going to reverse course and say, let's get some damn dragonflies in Twin Cities.
We could use an infestation around
crap.
here. Yeah.
As we said, they don't sting. They can't hurt you. So you won't see dragonfly on the Schmidt Sting Pain Index. Are you familiar with this?
No, no.
There is a pain index to determine, like for insect stings, to give you a ranking of how bad the Schmidt Sting Pain Index. It was developed by a guy named Justin Schmidt. He's an entomologist from Arizona. Level 1 is like a mosquito or a fire ant. Less than 5 minutes, even if you might not even notice. Level 2 is like a yellow jacket, which I had yesterday.
Yeah.
I got hammered by a yellow jacket. Sting lasts between 5 and 10 minutes. That was my experience. Within 10 minutes, I was like, oh, it kind of doesn't really hurt anymore.
Yeah, but for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Level 3, pain that can last up to half an hour. This would be like your wasp, the red paper wasp, or the Klug's velvet ant, which is a wingless wasp. Level 4, the tarantula hawk. That's a wasp that paralyzes tarantulas. We've talked about that before. That pain has been described as a running hairdryer being dropped into your bubble bath, a bolt out of the heavens. All you can do is lie down and scream. By the way, I should let you know that Justin Schmidt, the man who put this scale together, allowed himself to be stung by dozens of insects to then rank the pain.
Right.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Yeah, that's like a fetish, I think. He's
Pretty much.
Yeah, someone's having some fun there, I think. What about...
do you want to hear the worst?
Oh, yeah. That
The
wasn't
absolute worst. There's one that's a level 4 plus, and it is this is a bullet ant. And he says the bullet ant describes pure, intense, brilliant pain, like walking over flaming charcoal with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel.
And he used the word brilliant. See,
yes,
he's a weirdo.
The venom from a bullet ant can cause muscle contractions, burning sensation, and intense pain for 24 hours or more. If you're not in the rainforests of South or Central America, probably not going to encounter one of these things.
And he let himself be stung by one of those?
Yes.
Okay, this guy...
Don't wear
Did he
sandals
also
in the
walk
rainforest.
over the coals and get stabbed with the nail just to figure it out? What happened?
He's a professional.
Okay.
He's into... This is who the Scorps were singing about. Love at First Sting. This guy right here.
That was the guy
This is the guy they had in mind. Schmidt.
Yeah.
Zep, Tony, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
A mom from New York with her 4-year-old daughter. Her kid wanted a little burger and fries, and all was well until they looked in the bag. Now, the child does not care for ketchup. So imagine they're surprised to see what apparently looked like ketchup all over the food. Here's the mom.
I decided to get a meal for my daughter, and I heard, "Mom, I don't want ketchup." I look in her bag, and there is blood all over her bag, her toy, her fries, everything.
Wow.
Blood.
Yeah.
Mom called the restaurant and got the manager on the phone and explained what happened. And he said, oh, well, one of the guys in the kitchen cut his hand earlier today. I guess he was still bleeding. Sorry about that.
That explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be right down with the health inspector. Let's go ahead and pull him out of there. You got a mop around there? Perhaps he could mop up your sticky floors.
Mm-hmm. She said that the manager said somebody cut his hand. If I came back, they'd give me a refund. This is where it gets a little sideways, though. I can only speak for myself as a parent. Were this me and one of my kids at the age of 4 looked like human blood, I'd be sickened by this.
Yeah.
But my first thing I would do is make sure I did all I could to keep my kid from having any understanding of what just happened.
Yeah, they don't
a
need
4-year-old
to- they
child
can't
doesn't need
process
to
that.
know human blood is all over their food.
You will create trauma and a phobia for them that will last the rest of their life.
Or you can create what's already happened. She says her daughter has not eaten since this happened 3 or 4 days ago. The mom's anxiety's through the roof. And then she said in an interview with the New York Post, what if my daughter needs professional help from this? Are they going to cover those bills?
Let's start with mom first. Let's get you on the couch. Why would you put that on your child? You know, we're supposed to protect them and keep them from these things. And it's not like a 5-year-old child's going to understand that, well, always make sure that there's no blood on your food. And I think I'd probably need that bleeding kid back there to give me a blood test. Because the child ate some of it, right?
The child took a bite.
Might have had a bite of blood. You know,
had a bite.
Probably no problems. I'd give her rabies shots just to be safe.
That was another thing the mom said. We're going to have to get her tested once a month for a year to make sure she has no blood-borne illnesses. First of all, track down the kid with the cut finger.
Yeah.
Test his blood.
Yeah, go ahead and see what's in there. Just a bunch of THC.
And tell and tell your kid every month that you're just going to the doctor. Just say we have to do this one. They don't need to know all the details. You don't have to tell a 4-year-old that's human blood. That's all I'm suggesting. Your job is to protect your kid from the evils of the world when they're that age.
Oh, she's probably going for the big payday, Mom. Maybe.
Well, that's what it is. What if she needs help? What if she needs professional help? Let me see the receipts on those therapy bills.
Mm-hmm.
On the KQRS Facebook post, we asked, have you ever ordered food and got something that didn't belong in it? There's a few comments for sure. Christian wrote, on a trip out west, we stopped in a very famous restaurant in Colorado, the one with cliff divers. Don't know what that means.
Oh, the Mexican place, right?
Oh, I have heard of that place. The South Park guys bought it and refurbished it, right?
Gotcha. No, I'm not hip to it.
I'm thoroughly enjoying my food when I take a bite, and there's something very incredibly chewy. I take it out of my mouth. It's the fingertip of a latex glove. Thankfully, that was all, and not the fingertip of a person.
Yeah. You know, that's there you go. That's half full.
They already ingested that.
That's rolling.
By the time they got to the glove.
Krista wrote, my mom found a Band-Aid in her bread bowl salad.
Come on, let's be careful. No, anyone with a Band-Aid, don't be making the salad.
Wow.
I mean, all right. I know. I don't want to know what's going on back there. The sooner we automate these places, I think the better off we all are.
Yeah, the robots don't need Band-Aids.
No, they don't need Band-Aids. They're clean. You know, you hit them with some poisonous disinfectant in the morning. They're fine. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not going to start bleeding into your food. You know, they're not going to be popping zits back there and God knows what else.
Tom wrote, my buddy got a receipt sandwich from Culver's. That's a good one. Here's one from Michelle. Got a plastic bread tie on a burger at Applebee's once. The manager acted like it was no big deal. Told me that it must have fallen off the bun packaging. She says, well, no kidding, Captain Obvious. I had the first time, I'm a big fan of Indian food. I've always said, when the governor says, what do you want your last meal to be before they throw me an Old Sparky, I'm going to go out with Indian food.
Okay.
The first time I had Indian food at a restaurant in Atlanta in 1987, I went with a couple friends. I'd never been in an Indian restaurant before. Immediately, I walk in, the smells worked, and the food looked great. And I sit down, and I had a couple of starters, and we're sharing it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. The dude comes up with our mains, and he sets down one giant platter of rice that everyone's going to share from. And right on top of this large plate of rice, as if placed there by the chef, is a obviously dead housefly, just a fly.
Nice touch.
Dead center.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and my buddy looks at it, and we look at the waiter, and I go, hey, man, there's a fly on the rice.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, oh, I'm sorry. And he just picks it off with his fingers and walks away with it. And literally, I was like, this food just smells too good. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to still eat. And I ate it, and it was just fine.
Maybe that's what the chilies do in there, you know, the hot, it just, it kills all that. But yeah, just Really? Not going to pick up the plate and go?
So sorry, this fly is meant for the other table.
I think he took one look at us and realized, they're already drunk and stoned. They're going to forget this in a minute, but I didn't forget
I
it.
at least would have dined and dashed.
I needed to get back in there as soon as possible. I didn't want to be on the don't let them back in list. I've worked in a lot of places where I was preparing food for people I would never meet, and it's I guess it's like jury duty. I took it very seriously. I was never like, if something hit the floor, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's fine. I mean, I did have that sense of, no, I mean, someone's going to eat this, and I don't want to get a phone call saying, what'd you do to their pizza? Why are they vomiting? So
I do have some friends that have worked at different franchises I don't need to name that won't eat there anymore. Okay. Not that particular franchise they worked at, but any one of them. I know what goes on there. My brother worked at a hot dog processing plant for a while. I won't go near a hot dog. I've probably eaten 30 hot dogs already this summer.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't want to know, you know?
Oh, no. Definitely don't want to know.
Don't want to know.
I worked at a pizza place in Atlanta, and it was it's a place called Fellini's Pizza. There's a bunch of them in Atlanta, 8 or 9 of them. They're very successful. In the 80s, when there was only 2 of them, they were both just hole-in-the-wall dumps. And the ownership got their act together, and the place has gone on to become a very reputable, wonderful establishment. When I was first working there, not exactly.
No.
Every employee was in a band, including the owner, and it was eventually shut down by the health department when they showed up on a surprise inspection. The word on the street, I never got confirmation, was that there'd been a little payment going on. Make sure you give me a heads up before you show up.
Sure.
And then somebody missed that memo and showed up unannounced, and then we were all out of jobs. But before that happened, this was the state of the Little Five Points location in Atlanta, Georgia in 1988. We had a cat in the restaurant who lived there full time. His name was Hobart.
All right.
We named him after the dough mixing machine, which was called a Hobart. And this cat would, on occasion, while people are sitting at their table eating their food, right there on the floor of the restaurant, just be playing with, toying with, and then eating mice. Yeah, right there, right on the restaurant floor.
Wow.
And people would go, oh my God, and we'd go, oh, it's fine, it's Hobart. He's just doing his job.
One less mouse in the restaurant.
Better in his gut than on your plate. Yeah, that's a true story. Just whatever. What's the big deal?
Attaboy, Hobart.
Hobart was a good guy. He know what? It wasn't his fault. He was doing what was asked of him.
I doubt there were many people that walked out. There are some places that I've eaten at that I know what's going on. If I saw it in front of me, I'd just be like, well, I would expect that.
I do want to stress, however, if you're in Atlanta and see a Fellini's, go in there. It's great. It'll just set you free. Yeah. Still good friends with the owner. I should probably think about couching that story for future reference. It was almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
Well, in the real Lake Winnipesaukee over last week during the long holiday, there was a sailing lesson happening. A local sailing association, there was an operator in a little boat, in a motorboat, not a sailboat. He was mid-lesson. He was teaching children how to sail. I'm sorry, the sailboat was. And dude reached for a tennis ball. He used it to teach turning on some level. As he went for it, one of the kids' little boats tipped over. That mast hit the instructor's throttle and sent him flying into the water and his boat in a spiral. Just a little motorboat in a spiral surrounded by sailboats, just with no one on board. And it's just doing these. It's like doing donuts in a parking lot, if you will. But on the lake. And, these things happen occasionally. Yeah. The difference with this one is there was video, and there was a 17-year-old kid who was not content to watch it go down. He and his dad hopped onto a jet ski and got right up next to the boat as it's circling very rapidly. And the kid times it perfectly, leaps from the jet ski, flies like Batman, lands in the boat, and disaster is averted.
To the rescue.
Here's the kid.
And I looked up and I could see this boat circling. And then, of course, looked at the boat, and there's nobody in it. If that boat was circling like that, it could have hit somebody.
So he jumped on his boat, told me to get on the jet ski to go get the kids out of the way. It just came to me. I didn't really think. I just did it. I'm realizing what I did. It scared me a little bit, but it was fun.
Oh, man, that's Hollywood stunt movie stuntman stuff right there, hopping off the jet ski. Now, I have on a couple of occasions thought I might attempt this out on Minnetonka, one of our fine lakes here in Minnesota, on the jet ski, jumping into the boat. Guys, I'm going to come up to next to your boat, and I'm going to jump from my jet ski into your boat. But I wasn't quite drunk enough. I was drunk enough to have the idea, but not drunk enough to give me that third testicle I needed to make the leap. And because I got up there next to me, and you're going probably only about 15, 20 miles an hour, and I'm looking, I'm like, I'm not quite drunk enough. I think I would feel this when I came up short. So I've never done it, but good for that kid. And there were some other kids on the boat, right? Because the instructor got knocked off the boat by the freak accident, right? Yep. All right, that's some hero stuff there, kid. He's got a story when he gets back to school.
I like you being drunk enough to have the idea, but not drunk enough to realize you're not drunk enough to do it.
Right.
That's it's like a dog chasing its tail sort of vibe.
That's probably why I'm still on Earth.
Not a lot of jet ski activity in my life. I have done the wave runner, the bigger ones, because I've never done it on lakes. I've done it like in the ocean, and much harder, at least initially, because you got waves to deal with.
And I was talking about a jet ski. I was in fact on a wave runner. When I was talking about doing that, there is a difference, and I just tend to call them. It's like the Kleenex, is the nose tissue.
But the first time I did a jet ski, that's the one where you are squat. You're not sitting. You're up on your feet. And you're standing. I did one of those in 1993. On the Atlantic coast in South Georgia, and on a wavy day, and I rode around on that thing for 30 minutes, and at the time of my life. And I am not exaggerating when I say, when I got off that jet ski, I could not walk. I kid you not, my legs were so fried. Every muscle in both of my legs was in a state of complete. Like my legs felt like they were made of steel, but they couldn't function. They were so overwrought and overmatched. And I was laying on the beach, and Rosemary's like, "Let's go." And I'm like, look at him, like, I can't, I can't walk. So what are you talking about?
I gave it all, babe.
I go, I'm dead serious. I can't stand up. And she's like, it took her 5 minutes to accept that I wasn't trying to be funny. I'm like, there's nothing funny about me crawling without the use of my legs. I can't get. And then she stood me, helped me stand up, and I truly just fell down. Like my legs were in shock. And I was like, I was still like playing basketball a lot then too. And I was like, I thought I was in bad shape. I'm not even in bad shape. I'm in whatever's way worse than bad shape.
You don't use the jet ski muscles usually. That's a whole different muscle group. And then you've got the adrenaline out there and the waves, and you're so focused and in it and having such a blast. And then, when you're done, your body, that adrenaline goes down and your body just shuts off those limbs.
I did a wave runner once in Miami, had a day off on tour, and me and my bass player and a member of our crew and one of the promoter staff, 4 of us got wave runners, Miami Beach. And we got on these wave runners. It was a very calm day. Easy. Those, bigger boat, bigger machine. We're sitting down. And Ray Compton, the tour accountant for the promoter, he looked at us. He goes, "Okay, guys, it's ocean chicken." And we're like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Just turn, go directly in a straight line away from the beach and see who will hold out the longest." Not a smart thing for a bunch of dudes in a rock band in their late 20s on a day off in Miami. I'm like, I'm not chickening out. And I've told this story, and people think I'm exaggerating. 4 of us, tear away, shoulder to shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, in a straight line away from the water, and we're going and we're going and we're going. And when you see oil tankers off the shore just sitting out there, we went past an oil tanker.
Oh my gosh.
And when we finally stopped and turned around, we could barely, you could see buildings like giant hotels on the beach. No clue as to which one was ours or anything. We were miles offshore.
Freaky.
And all of a sudden it went from we're cool to we were all half in the bag, of course, to do this. Terrified. What the hell did we just do? And to get back to shore, it felt like it took 30 minutes. Like, didn't even notice on the way out. We're like laughing, all right. And we got back, and as we're getting closer, and then the buildings are getting clearer, and we're like, okay, there's our hotel. We're way south of it, and we're all kind of angling back. And we turned back in. I mean, like we rented them for like an hour. The entire hour was one round trip out. We got back, seriously, our time was up, and we were like, What the hell is wrong with us?
So you admitted you were terrified.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's cool.
All but soiled myself.
If you had run out of gas or there had been a mechanical failure, of course you're out past, you're in Riptide territory now. You would have ended up in Cuba, most likely.
If we're
on
lucky,
your way.
as opposed to heading over to Spain, North Africa.
Right, you are on your way. Growing up in lakes, I'm a Midwest kid, grew up on lakes, and I remember the first time I was out on a boat doing some deep sea fishing, so I'm on a boat. But I remember the first time I looked back and couldn't see shore. And I was like, I had no idea. No one ever explained to me that was going to be a freaky experience, but I was freaked out. And if I would have been on a wave runner, because I've conked out in wave runners more times than I can count, like 4 or 5.
Sure.
I mean, obviously I can count that, but I can't easily remember how many times I've just been out in the middle of Minnetonka waving boats down going, there's something wrong with this piece of crap that I borrowed from my buddy. It's not going anymore, and they toss me the old line, and tow me in. But out there in the ocean, man, that's a whole thing.
It's a whole nother thing.
It's the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS. Stream it on your phone.